All right, all right, all right. What's up, folks? What's up, man? I want to do this live. I'm probably make it quick. Uh, and I want to do this live about the Tulsa real estate fund with Jay Morse. And not to be a thing, because I ain't with trying to just sit on bash cats and play them as frauds and all this other stuff. But it goes back into what I was saying with this viewpoint that many people have towards real estate and want to invest and buying in this and that and just jumping into it based off the words and wisdom of others without really fully having knowledge of what goes into it, the risks, loss assessments, any of that shit. You just run off of what people say. And the crazy thing when it comes to business, uh, everybody always has this positive outlook on shit. Like everything is always on the up and up. No one speaks about looking for, periods and where you kind of go through these dips, where you go through these crashes in markets. Nobody give you that shit. When people are out here looking for capital and all that other shit, they present everything as if it's a win-win. Some people speak very elegant as Jay Morris knows how. He has a lot of knowledge, well spoken, a lot of marketing behind him. So a lot of people good at marketing are very good at talking, finding ways to, kind of touch at the strings of a person's heart and mind and able to getting yes out of people. That's the whole thing with sales is turning no's into yes. And until people understand that shit, you'll always be conned by salespeople. But not to say that this thing was something for him to try to go in here and rip people off and shit like that. I think this dude really did have, no, I can't even say that. I ain't gonna say he had this thing of trying to better situations for the community. I think this is for some self-fulfilling things and those who are around him, those who he used the word proteges several times in this interview. Let me go into the interview where I found this interview. This is a fucking real good interview from this channel here. Let me go into this channel. Let me pull this up. I always like to give credit to the channel because there's a lot of good content on YouTube and shit. I watch it all the time, but I came across this interview. So this one is about an hour. How long was this interview? This interview was an hour, 54 minutes. Very, very good interview. Because I was always wondering what happened to this dude. Because I remember when this dude was extremely public, talking about this investment group. I think I remember seeing him. I think Black Fight Fan and brought this dude onto their channel and stuff. And he might have been pitching that over there. He might have been pitching the Tulsa Fun thing. Or he might have been on Black Fight Fandom channel before he launched this shit. But I remember this dude was on there. First time I had heard his name, but it's the first time I remember seeing this dude over on their channel. But this channel is called Social Proof. And he does this interview with Jay Morris and about the Tulsa Fund. And this dude seems to be real knowledgeable on business and all that other shit. Let me see what kind of content this dude make. Because this is the only thing I've seen on this channel. So this, he says the number one, and why did the thing disappear? Why is it flashing like that? Says the number one podcast. I don't know why it's doing that shit. I was trying to see what that banner said up top. But so he has interviews, says you don't have to be strong for everybody. Says men need this, the black leaders, black churches and boycotts. Yeah, a lot of social related stuff. It looks like what it is. Build business, not fame, $100 million debt. They talking about debt, all that other shit. So it looked like it's a business rated platform towards guess black business strategies or black people that go into business for themselves. But the interview was a 2022 interview, real good interview. This guy, was he tough on the questions? No, I don't think it was a need for interviews like that for you to be tough on a person. I think the interview is to ask the questions, get the answer out of the person. Now, what Jay Morris started to push was this religious thing, because that's the other thing with salespeople is to pull at the strings and heart of black people. One thing that's kind of not so strong anymore amongst the black community is the talk of religion and God. Now, he spoke about this was his calling from God. God had called for him to lead his people into this business ideal. So how does this thing failed. If this is God calling, then that means you don't give up on it. You don't walk away from it because the finances didn't turn out how you want them to be. And then it can't be to where God calls you as a leader and everybody else is a follower behind you. I don't think those two things mix. And I don't get why religious people or people who play on religion. Because I always say, I don't know who the fuck people God is. I don't know whether people believe them or whatnot, but God seems to be a thing to manipulate and use people. So I don't buy into that shit. The minute people get to talking God and all that shit with me, I move away from them. Or if I'm sitting there listening to them and letting them talk, I'm just looking at you. You're a manipulative, crooked, corrupted motherfucker. And I can't stand to listen to that shit. But he got to talking about God gave him a calling because he come from a situation where he was incarcerated for drug dealing, all this other shit. And he needed, he needed a new calling. And this happened to be his calling, was to help his people, and kind of pulling off of this thing that Marcus Garvey tried many, many decades before. And it was to be like, so God made you the leader of these people and everybody else is to fall behind you. And then so he gets into where he's associating with other people and part of this business thing, and they begin to turn on him. The federal government begin to investigate this dude and all type of shit. But let me go into what his page currently is, and then I want to dive more into that interview. So he still has this site. So it looks like the company's still legit. He spoke about this company too. I wrote down some of the numbers from it about the money that's in the company's portfolio. Now it's abysmal than a motherfucker. So the company has $2.3 million in real estate assets, which is not shit. But maybe it's a lot, because where's this company headquarters? Is it down in Georgia, or is this actually or is it just called Tulsa because of the Black Wall Street thing, or are they actually in Oklahoma? Let me see. So here he has it right here. So they have 14,000 partners. They have a total estimate of capital of $11 million. Total capital that has been deployed, or their dividends or payouts to the partner, has only been $8.7 million. That doesn't, if I was them, I would delete that shit. Because what is the split? That is not a lot. So if 8.7's been put out, so capital raised, so far, I don't know if that's capital for the year, or I don't know how is this these numbers are put out. Is this for the year, or is this in total? Because when he was talking about this interview, it sounded like 12 million was the max grossed in fundraising for the company. Like, that ain't no good look. Like, why would you want to put money in that? So 14. So let me get that. 8 million, which ain't shit. 8 million divided by 14,000 will leave you with. Can anybody guess this shit? Of what you'll be returned? Or is it, if you had to split that, but how would that work? Would it be based on your investment? Got to definitely be based on your investment, but how would they go about the split? So if they were to split this evenly amongst it, so it can be evenly. And I'm pretty sure people get a percentage of whatever they put into this company, meaning it's I'm pretty sure, being as an equity-based company, which is based on your ownership or share of the company, it got to definitely be based on how much you poured into that shit. And it's almost Ponzi like with the way in which this shit is structured. That out of 14,000 partners, and they paid out 8.7 million, that's only out of 14,000 people. If they're dividing that shit evenly, each partner is only receiving $621.43. And then with the shortage of pennies, you got to round that shit up. So that'd be $4.50, which is crazy, or 45 cents. We have nickels. That shit is wild. Like, so they should remove that shit. And he got to talking about that in the interview. I want to go into when the guy asks how much do they have in his portfolio. And so he's pulling on the heartstring using Martin Luther King quotes. Legacy Center is in East Point, Georgia. Cincinnati properties in Ohio. This same shit that then got Floyd caught up. Man, all this damn real estate shit ain't a bunch of lucrative shit. Unless you have what he was talking about. Unless you're sitting on a certain amount of capital, you have to have a certain amount of money. Total interest earned the date, but they don't give the date. So what is earned to date? The Cincinnati properties sales price. They purchased this price in Bridgewater, New Jersey for 355,000. Sold it for 426. But they won't show the property. I'm trying to look at the property. You can't see it, so they're showing the full. But why would you? Hold on, this shit. Okay, these are videos. I need some kind of Vimeo shit. I got signed to Vimeo, so they make it hard to even look at that shit. I wish it was pictures. So this is in Michigan, probably in one of the burnt down streets. Atlanta's attractive. I don't even know these are attractive locations for people want to be in. Everything's about location, location. Submit the deal. What is this shit? So this is his portfolio. You can't look at the portfolio. And let me see. So interest earned to date, but what is to date? When did this come? I think he was talking about starting in 2016. So this almost in 10 years. So this is a 3 single family homes in Cincinnati. So I guess he's still trying to buy up shit. Don't look like they own too much of shit. This East Point, Georgia is a 30,000 square foot office space, is on 2.4. And this is the other thing he brought up. So this is the portfolio, the numbers I got off the interview. They have 2.3 million in real estate assets. So I guess they're going to be selling these properties to flip them or whatnot. Then they have a commercial property that's worth $1.3 million, which ain't shit. Must be this one in Georgia. And then they have in cash, they have $7 million in cash. They end up getting a bunch of money that was put into its accounts when they sold something called the Black House. And I was looking at this big ass complex. And I guess, it's this one right here. This is the Black House. I want to see a picture of the Black House. And it looks like maybe it was his headquarters. This one, I believe it is, where they sold the Black House for $3.7 million. He sold the Black House. So I think that's helped them to cover some of the cash that they were short on. Now he got to talking about when there was scrutiny behind how much money he was making or paying himself out of the fund. So out of the capital, he was paying himself an income of $300,000 a year. He said that his wife wasn't pulling in money or some shit. Their marriage began to sour and all that shit once the scandals start to come about, the criticism on the internet, his wife trying to go in the acting, think she did shit with Country Wayne and shit. So he said one of the worst mistakes he made was listening to his attorneys who told him not to continue to collect capital, to not allow any more partners to join this investment group. And he was saying that he thought it was a big mistake because as an equity company, they need to raise capital. Being he don't got his own money, he can't go to banks and get the money. I don't know if his felonies stop him from that shit or is that the case? So he doesn't have any money presented. So he's relying on these 14,000 people to put their money up. And so that becomes a thing that people should have scratched their head on as well, and they didn't. He spoke about some of the, it was almost like a complaint about what he didn't expect with running this type of company was some of the fixed cost in the operating the shit. And that was a payout to Prime Trust, which was which was their escrow agent, where they held on to where he had to pay them $176,000. Then he had some kind of computer transfer company or computer share, I think it was called. He had to pay them $5,000 a month. Then he had all type of administrative costs and all this other shit going into it. Third party audits he had to do. That shit cost him like $40,000. Then he was talking about before they became a C corp, where they were just a partnership or LLC, where he had to pay out, where he had to file the what are the must called the K1s or that the 1065s, to where they mail this shit out to each of the partner. He was speaking about that costing them $20,000 and shit. Like, man, and then it just shows like this fool just expected to pocket every goddamn thing. Now, currently where they sit, I have no idea about what this company has going for itself and whether he can pull himself up out of that. And it's sad to see that. But do I think he was trying to rip people off? Man, I would hate to think that. And I really don't think that what was his intentions were. I think his intention was to go in here and make money. I think that was the intentions, to go in here and make money. I think he got too full of himself. He wasn't really paying attention. He didn't fully study everything. And he ended up getting his ass taken to the damn grave site. He ended up being drugged through the mud, and it ended up being kind of a reckless thing. But it's reckless on the part of the people who pour money into this shit, because you ain't getting shit. People expect to get a bunch of money returned on a dude using funds to buy properties, and people expecting quick turnover in cash. Absolutely not. And then so what, you waiting to sell a house? How do you divvy up that? You got all type of fees that go into that shit, taxes, things bound by law. Brent Washington, the building salute. Blasey Cuss says 3 words, says Dame time, nigga. Says sure. But we talking about Tulsa real estate fund. And then DJ says, dude is a certified fraud. See, I don't want to call him no fraud because he ain't in jail. And then Brandon says, nah, says no quick lies, says you gotta cook, homie. No, I ain't gonna make this one long. I just wanted to touch in on what I saw. Last Cuz says, what up to Benito Owens? And he says, hey, Cuz, says, would you be surprised? Says, if it was Ben Israel, says, who took that elderly woman, man, I ain't on none of these other topics, bro. I'm on this shit. And then Goyan DJ says, this is not a good interview. Says he's getting interviewed by his friend. Says he's not being challenged. Says he's being allowed to lie. But no, I think it was to be like, will he go on a interview where somebody going to challenge him? I thought the interview was real good, whether it was a friend or not, because a friend even spoke to him about it not being that good of an investment fund and that he made a mistake. Like, I don't think anybody else will get him to do an interview. I don't think you'll see him going on a Breakfast Club, or maybe he would go on Breakfast Club. Ain't the Breakfast Club dude was tied in some fraud shit? Which one of these radio dudes was tied into some fraud shit that almost sent them to prison? I think it was the dude with Charlemagne who got tied in that shit. I just think when they come up with these type of ideals, these investment shit, and then for people to use their own money to pass over to people who are going to use the money to buy up fucking property, and you expect to get something out of that, all that shit leads to is a bunch of lawsuits, your money being tied up, you not being returned shit because the money ain't rolling out like that. Like, man, hell no. I just don't buy into that shit. And I think people have to start to study on their own rather than listen to people who can talk a good game and shit, who knows things but can talk a good game to get yes out of people. That's why I hate sales. I can't stand salespeople. I didn't even like jobs that I work at that were sales jobs because I'm not into doing manipulative shit to get yes out of people. And knowing damn well this ain't the thing that's beneficial to people. Because one thing, I stand on morals and principles, and I ain't with ripping a motherfucker off for the satisfaction of some old motherfuckers who ain't nowhere on site for a job while they just collect all this money. I'm gonna do that. I'll be fucking helping customers to rip your motherfucking sorry asses off. So I just don't rock with sales type shit. Our salespeople, they're a bunch of slick talking ass people. They're a bunch of people who say things that they know people want to hear just to get a yes. And just like this dude talking about him being led by God, that shit works with a lot of women and church women and some of these church ass dudes. And God led me here, and I got a calling from God. Where I'd be like, well, why God ain't called me? Fuck you. Oh, you one of them damn chosen people from God. Like, man, if that ain't the way God's supposed to work, I think God's supposed to see everything as an equal, right? Rather than, well, I guess God's saying you the stupid motherfucker, and you need to follow this righteous one that I've only blessed him with the blessings of myself to make everything right. So now this dude talks about all this call of God, and now he down abandoned the way he was operating shit. Like, man, that shit don't make sense, homie. If God called you to that shit, that's what you heard from God, you should stick with it. Because maybe on the long end of that shit, in the long term, maybe it should have panned out for you if that's what God called for you, or you had some other shit going on. And then, but I don't see any other interview where he'll go in there to be challenged by people. And then behold, in the building salute, and the going DJ says can't wait for the link. No, I'm not dropping the link, man. I don't want to hear people just bash this dude. Says so I can cook. And then he says nothing you will says you will be returned nothing. Says the investment never made a profit. Says it lost money every year. Yeah, it was like, and then to see that only this dude was only able to raise fucking $12 million over the span of what is this, almost 10 years. I think if they started in 2016, I believe he said, that ain't shit. That ain't shit. And even he was saying in the interview, he was like, we needed to leverage themselves. They needed something like $50 million in capital to cover all these costs, fees, and all this other shit to go out there and be able to flip the money that they have sitting. Like, man, come on, homie. And then the fact you have no money or any assets to put up. He pulled money from this shit to buy himself property, and then to pay himself out a income that was 300,000. That's great ass fucking income. That's good income, man. And then Goyan DJ says, it says total capital deployed, says not what they paid back to investors. And he says, hey, cuz, says you heard Hollywood mogul. Yeah, I'm gonna skip your comments, homie, with all this deflective shit away from this. He said niggas being forced to resign left and right. And says he bamboozled the black community. Says which the white community does a lot of bamboozling of not only the white community but all type of communities. The white community is very good at that shit. So it ain't just him. That's why I don't want to make it to where I'm just bashing this dude, because it's more white people that pull this kind of scam within this country of investments. That's why I don't trust people to invest money. I don't like listening to people's advice on investment unless I learn it myself. And there's books all over the place on what, if you want to get into some shit, on picking up the books to study. Like I hear people get on here and talk about cryptocurrency rather than just going off the advice or conversation from other people. You have to pick up the books uh, uh, of that sector and shit. What regulates it? What protects your money? How to make safe bets on shit. And a lot of people don't. They just ride the wave of what they hear is good. And you have certain sectors that have these waves to where everything's on the up and up. But guess what? It's all good things come to a fucking end. And like he was even using the excuse of the pandemic, like when he started to launch his shit. No, it couldn't be it had to be like 2018, 2019. So it ain't 10 years. It's about like, what does that make? That makes about what, 7, 8 years or something. He's been running this only 12 million. That's still bad. 12 million for what they trying to use should have been some annual thing, not over 6 years. And Mark Summers says you don't know a con man when you see one. No, I don't look for con people. I just don't listen to when people talk and shit. I don't listen to people like that. I don't take advice from people like that. Like I have conversations and talk, but when it comes to being about you buying shit, people trying to sell you shit, I don't listen to none of that shit. And especially when they get to talking that old God and religion shit, I really ain't fucking buying shit. Everybody got to hustle. Everybody got to sell. I'm cool on that shit. If I don't know that shit and haven't read up on that shit, then I just don't dive into it at all. And it's unfortunate people that people, trusted this dude and hoping they would get something. I just knew from the get-go, like, you investing in real estate. I can see if he was into manufacturing and trying to produce something of necessity for people or anything like that, then yeah, maybe you'll get some returns based off of sales of shit. But you buying property, the returns on that shit is slow. The upkeep on property and all that other shit, ensuring you have the proper tenants. Like, come on, it's a lot that goes into that shit. And those are costs that these dudes do not present to people. They just present it's on it up and up. Property worth this and that much. Everybody can present shit in a beautiful package until you open that shit. And Godbody Sean says, Google the NFLPA statement says on the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, Reggie. Wait, Google the NFL Player Association. Let me see, because he was speaking about somebody in NFL. He was speaking about somebody in NFL that invest in this shit. NFL's Player Association on Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Let's see. Since this is associated with, let me see. So here goes some summary. I read the release some warning. Okay, here goes something. Let me read this thing here. All right, this is a short ass summary. This is sports agent. Shade Room got something. Let me see. MSN got something. Scammer turns to God as his real estate. Oh, real estate fund. Look, they even going in on him. See, he turned to God. That's why I be saying these people always using this God shit to get in the way of shit. The only thing I can rock with hearing some religious God stuff that I heard today was listening to the dude from the Outlaws talk about the guy who killed his mother and father trying to reach out to him. That's about the only thing. Let me see. The MSN one is no, that one is a video. So let me go into the summary here with the NFL Player Association issues a warning. So let me pull this one up. So they trying to tell NFL players because a lot of athletes got to watch where they invest their money too, and not doing their research on who to trust. Says NFL Players Association issues warning regarding the Tulsa real estate fund. Says due to concerns about its legitimacy. Says in August 2018, says a contract advisor alerted the NFL Players Association about suspicious activities surrounding the fund, prompting the organization to take action. Says this scrutiny was part of a broader concern that have emerged over the years, especially as the fund faced allegations of fraud and mismanagement, culminating in bankruptcy filing, says an investigation into its operation. So they didn't already filed for bankruptcy. Is this what this dude has done with this organization? He's filed for bankruptcy. Yeah, that shit is wild. The Shade Room, not gonna get. Let me see. Do I want to see the Shade Room one? Because they think they on like slanderous type shit. I don't want to fully slander the dude. I'm not into that shit. I just hate if the dude was really trying to get over on people like that. But the interview, I thought the interview was good, but I did see some holes in the shit that this dude was talking about. Let me see. This one says black investors claim fraud. Says were thousands misled by. No, I don't think they were misled. I just think people were stupid. I think these people were stupid and led into the belief of a well spoken dude with a lot of knowledge on fucking this market. He knows about the equity markets. He knows about credit. He knows all that shit and can talk a good game. He comes up with an ideal. The structure behind the operation of this company wasn't good. It says Jay Morris was reportedly a trusted financial advisor in Atlanta. So he played upon black folks. He couldn't make this. He couldn't make this shit about investing, wanting the investments of all people. He went after black folks who probably lacked the knowledge on this shit, as well as white folks. A lot of white folks who don't know that shit. But you go into certain communities where these people probably are investors. They wouldn't dare put their money up with this shit. They were probably in the business of trying to get rid of a bunch of these properties this dude wanted to buy. Says, however, says he's now under fire. It says, and some investors say he scammed them out of thousands of dollars, which he didn't. They ain't read the fine print of shit. Morris allegedly promoted a real estate fund, says that garnered over 11 or $12 million, we rounded. Says now investors are alleging that their deposits have vanished. Of course, you poured your money in that shit. What you thought you going to get it right back? And he says, according to Carter, says Morrison started his career in finance and real estate after serving some time behind bars. After his release, Morris reportedly amassed a following on social media, says, by offering courses on financial literacy in the public spaces. So people just listening to that shit. Once again, it's people listening to this talk. Same way what they do, the way he presents this God stuff, people go to church, listen to some shit, talk at him like most people do, and they just listen to shit, talk at him, rather than opening books and reading on this shit. So that shit sounds good. The dude presents it good. He's a marketer, great at marketing. So then in 2018, says Morris launched the Tulsa real estate. Okay, so 2018, so it is an 8-year company fund. Says Carter reports that it is a government regulated platform, says that allows qualified individuals to crowdfund with others in order to invest in and own real estate. Fucking own real estate. Says Carter adds that 15,000 people joined the fund, says which reportedly had a minimum of 500, says which had a $500 minimum enrollment fee. Says, however, it appears to have no return. Says I never invest anything that I can't lose. Says, but when you invest, says you don't intend to lose at the same time. These are quotes from somebody. Says this is Julian Gordon, who contributed 40,000 to the fund like a dumbass. Gordon reportedly secured a 30,000 square foot event space called the Legacy Center through the fund. Says which allegedly invested 3.5 million to acquire the developed location. Says, however, after the 2020 COVID pandemic, it all says it appears that plan had derailed. And location is everything. It's just like, what are you presenting? Like you need office space, but what are you presenting? What is the business driving? Like, come on, man. What type of units are you putting out? You ain't owning shit. You ain't got tenants. You ain't renting out shit, collecting rents and none of that shit. You just sitting on properties. And then people sitting there waiting, think they're gonna get money back because they listen to, smooth talk. Better off turning on the radio, hearing some smooth jazz and shit. According to Gordon, says he soon discovered that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and the Department of Justice were investigating the Tulsa real estate fund and Morrison. The investigation reportedly concluded in May 2020 with no significant findings because ain't nothing criminal about this shit. Niggas just ain't gonna get their money, and you run the risk of putting your money up. That's your fucking risk. Says, however, Gordon remained skeptical of Morrison, says, believing he was lacing his pockets with millions from the fund. That's pocket watching there. That's just pocket watching. It's just that people not doing their homework on investing and how your money's going to return, understanding this dude's ideal. So, and then we got and then Jay Poppins says DJ Envy. Oh yeah, is DJ Envy the one on the what's the damn whatever the hot 96, whatever that shit with Charlemagne. I don't even know about the people on there. I don't know the radio station. That he got caught in some real estate shit too. He almost went to prison, right? And then and the Go Young DJ says he'll never go to any podcasts that challenge him. And that's understood. I don't see why he would go on there. I don't see why he would go on that type of shit because he looks like he's still in business. So you don't want to go in there and it just become an argumentative thing and shit. So sometimes you want people that can interview you, ask you the questions, and then let you, let you fucking set your own self up. And then the Jay Poppins says, I invested my own, turned out great. Says, you invested in your own company or whatever? Because I think with real estate, man, you got to go into that shit by yourself. And a lot of business you got going by yourself. Like, because all throughout life, I always heard people going into business with people. And guess what it already turned out to? Them wanting to annihilate one another and then also lawsuits. You get caught up in all this legal shit. I'm pretty sure lawyers love when they see motherfuckers go into partnerships. The lawyers can matter of fact, the lawyers can build a law firm across the street from some shit like that. Because somebody gonna walk out of that building, walk right over here, ready to file a lawsuit. Because that's all that shit turns out into some disastrous shit. Or maybe this company needing to sue somebody they didn't did business with. I wouldn't dare do it. If the motherfucker ain't got his own money to create this type of business model and shit, then that motherfucker about to use your money and screw you over. And then God Body Sean says my homie got a check from the Tulsa real estate fund. Says, no, you lying, homie. That, you know what? Them returns is probably what was pissing people off. How often was the returns coming back? Like annually or some shit? If that I can believe that shit. It's probably what pissed people off is getting returns like that. And then he says, so he just took Jay Morrison's info, and started buying his own properties. Yeah, you just got to pick up the books. If somebody can inspire you, they talking this great talk and investment, and you haven't understand that shit, you got to go in that shit on your own. Be able to go in the banks, get the money you need, whatever else you need. You got to work your own job. Morrison says, I thought you were against these real estate people, says, but you like I ain't say nothing about liking this guy. I just said I didn't want to get on here and bash him. I don't fuck with real estate. That's why you don't see me buying no house. I pay attention to real estate. That's why I'm always watching real estate, watching where the prices go. There's more not for me to act like no expert because I watch prices. There's a lot more to read. A lot of laws to regulate shit. but I know where prices should be. I'm a great watcher and knower of prices and knowing when there's some old crooked shit going on. Same way with the fucking first, not the first, but the last major housing collapse in 2008. I could sense some bullshit was coming. Was coming with the way that shit was going. I would sit on, and the fact that I can fucking use the fucking VA to go buy. I'm not buying one of these overpriced motherfuckers. And then now you look at the challenges facing the real estate market. Trump and them coming out with a 50-year loan bullshit rather than going after stopping corporations from buying up shit. And now that shit gets exposed that a lot of these corporations is buying up huge swaths of fucking homes to fucking to gouge up pricing and shit, to acting like there's a shortage of homes and shit, which keeps pricing high. Like, man, it's a lot of scumbaggery in this country. This country does nothing to protect people. This is why when y'all see me call sports and commercials come on, and the most bugged out thing on this shit is about buy, meaning pull from these idiots' pockets through the idiot box. And a lot of people are idiotic enough, and the idiot box does the marketing to kind of sway you into a direction of spending. Nothing is there to say, hey, Americans, this commercial is to show you how to get more money into your pockets. We're giving away this. It ain't none of that shit. And what this country will allow it, if you get fucking taken to the fucking ringer and shit, it ain't nothing we're about to do to protect you. Salute to the business owner that has conned you out of your fucking money is all you get out of this mud. And then even if you're the challenger company, man, it's hard to fucking go to challenging them and take them into court and all that other shit. You just take them to the fucking bank. And then the Go Young DJ says every venture he has ever you messed up on your writing. Y'all writing be killing me. Says every venture he has ever had, says never made money. Says he's been a scammer since day one. Says every time he's had a partner, says he scammed them. Says and ran off with the money. And then people are dumb enough to if you notice about this, because this dude is a public figure. This guy's on large social media following, large social media platforms. And he has his history, but through slick talk and in the use of certain language that just breaks people. Oh, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, and God this and God that. And people don't know how to look past that shit. And they accept that shit. And then this person talking numbers and using financial terms and all that shit. Financial terms people never heard of. And they can talk this and that because dudes spend a lot of time reading that shit, whether he's going to be honest with that shit or use it to con people and shit. And then people be needing that money, but everybody wants to get rich and shit. That's why people gamble. That's why Vegas is here. That's why the lottery is there. And then Jay Poppins says I was buying my own before I heard of Jay Morrison. Says no need to give him my money. Says when I can invest in myself. That's a fact. And then Go Young DJ says he started the fund 1 month after filing for bank. No. He filed bank. Nah, that can't be fucking true. That can't be true. And then, but then the way he can file bankruptcy for himself, but that don't mean he filed it for the company, because what is it? The company is what, like a corporation and shit. So he can file to protect himself from owing whoever he owed money to and shit. And then he has his, but see, that's some old crooked ass scheme there to protect his goddamn self from paying back, and he give himself 7 years to be cleaned off the books and shit. I want to see this fund and see, because I don't see any of the people within the company. I was trying to see if they got a list of people's titles and all that other shit. I don't see any of that. I only see where you can submit forms. They got a bunch of shit of submitting your damn forms and pledges. I don't see anything about who's in the company. I don't see any of that shit because I want to see where is his title within this company. I just don't see that. I don't see like the corporate structure of this company. I just see this website. You got testimonials, and see, that ain't good. I don't like when you go on websites, you don't see that. I don't see him. Well, I see a small photo of him, so he's still somewhere in the company. They got testimonials. I only see 4 videos from the testimonial. This is about as bad as that website I looked on with Floyd and that company he had. See, this is why I be like, man, you got to do your own research when it comes to your fucking money, because the other thing, when you lose all this money, you can't go after what was people's initial instinct to do as humans, and that's the one to go play God with a motherfucker's life. Mark Summers says deflect, deflect, deflect. And God by Sean says easy propaganda. Says Jay Morrison sold the people a dream. Says by race. That's the other one they can do. Is the race hustling, because that shit work, especially through the internet age and shit. And seeing people on here get on here and play into the race shit. And come on, brother, don't be a sellout and this and that and this and that. And play on your motherfucking ass worse than a bigot, homie. That's why I say I do not listen to people. People know that about me. A lot of y'all come on here knowing that shit about me. I'm not a yes ass person. I ain't no one to kick it with motherfuckers and one to fit in. I ain't with none of that shit. I go through my own assessments. I've been doing things properly throughout life by not following motherfuckers, but learning. I've done a great job in life from the environment I come from learning, observing, and studying shit from afar, not being the first one to just run into shit, trying to get rich overnight and shit. Hell no. Velocica says the nigga says who leases a car says and rents a track home. Man, you be pocket watching. I'm gonna let you believe. Yeah, I do lease a car. I lease that motherfucker. I rent one of them weeklies, all that shit. He just pocket watching. He want to know if I'm rich or not, which I ain't rich. I'll never front and play like I'm rich. But yeah, I definitely lease a car. And if Velocity Cuss says finger pointing Reggie Owens, nah, I'm finger pointing nobody. He says taking financial advice from you, says our Pittsburgh Flea says is like taking legal and financial advice from Adrian Broner. That's why I don't give financial advice at all. I'm just speaking on that shit with the directions of which dumbass people go, and then they get on here and cry when their money that they poured into some shit from somebody ends up failing them, and then now they have all this money they poured into a company and nothing to show for it, nothing is a return from it. And then him how you say that shit? I'm gonna just say him says what's going on over says over there says what's going on over here then. And then this nigga barely learning English. He says, what's up? Says, what's up? Salute. And then Goyan DJ says, says he don't know anything. Says he doesn't even know how credit work. Nah, I ain't gonna take that from the dude. He definitely knows how credit work. He just can't get it. That's the only thing I can say for Jay Morrison. But I ain't about to take away from his knowledge on shit. I just think he's a con artist. He doesn't have the money he doesn't have his own money. Well, now he may have his own money to put up into things. And who knows? He probably has his money invested in other shit that he's taken from other people's investment because he's earning his income and he ain't really having to put out shit. It's coming off of the money of other people, which is wild shit. And then says he want they go Mark Summers and shit. Mark Summers trying to get his get back on all the little offensive jokes I said about him being a little fucking suburban scumbag. Says he went for dumb blacks. He says he was spamming ads, says on World Star, says that's how he came up. Yeah, he did use them platforms. He definitely used them social media platforms. And he says white people weren't going to invest, says with that goofy laugh out loud. And then Hyphy says I'm unsure if you remember, says, but years ago, Trill Boxing Talk interview. Yeah, I brought that up. I brought that up before you jumped on here. I remember seeing him on Black Fight Fandom channel. Says interview this Morrison, says he stated his background was drug dealing, says running the hood, etc. Yeah, I remember that. That's why I first remember seeing the dude. I had heard him, but I never listened to any of his interviews. But it was around the time they had him on that Trill Boxing Talk. And he says Power 105 talking about the Charlemagne channel, says yeah, that's that scam and cheater. Says you know what prices should be, laugh out loud. Absolutely. And the Picasso in there says what he says, scumlisms. And then DJ says would you trust someone with 12 million, says that just filed for bankruptcy, says stop it. Man, shit, I wouldn't trust any of them motherfuckers. But but this is the other thing. You can't say people ain't got knowledge because Bernie Madoff had knowledge on all type of shit. A con artist knows how to steal a motherfucker's money. And people who file bankruptcy know the reasons behind filing bankruptcy. They can take your money. That's what Donald Trump has done, and has remained a very wealthy guy. Meaning the banks can't get your money back. People can't come after you. Like, you cleaning your hand, that money's still going somewhere. Like, shit, you can pass that shit, put it in other people's hands. Be connected with other crooked people. They look out for you. Like, it's a lot of ways some fools can go about with that shit. And who knows? It'd be just like somebody getting in the dope game. Your whole intention is to make a certain amount of money in the game, and then you find your way up out of that shit. So maybe he achieved this goal of what he needed, what he wanted, what can sustain him. So, but no, that fool definitely has knowledge of credit and all this other financial shit, and he's studying that shit. So now I ain't about to take it away from him. Is he crooked, corrupted? Absolutely. Absolutely. He don't give a fuck about anybody else. And shit, 12 million ain't shit. You look at a bunch of these other white cats who are white collar criminals who have stolen 12 million ain't shit. And then nothing stops these dudes from going back out there being corrupted again once they get out. And then and the Mark Summit says background says it's all made up. A lot of people don't do that research neither. And then Goyan DJ said he sold crack, said he sold crack to his own father. Then he did. Shit, that mean money is everything to that motherfucker. He has no morals. Says, I wish I could cook. And then you'll just get on here to bash the dude. And Hyphy says last December says there was a big Zoom call, says, for people that had been scammed by him. Says there's thousands out there. But was they scammed? Because they couldn't have been scammed. Otherwise, he'll be in jail. It's just that, because that's the other thing. Investments ain't fucking guaranteed returns. There's a risk on all of that shit. There's a risk on business. Either your business is going to succeed or it's going to fail. And there's the same risk that banks take when you try to go and get money from them. Banks have to assess whether or not they're going to lend you that kind of money. And that's why he didn't go to banks. The banks would have been like, man, get the fuck up out of here. How much money you got to put up? And Jay Morris would have had nothing to put up, because I think he said he was foreclosed around this time he came up with this shit, when God gave him this damn ideal or this dream and shit he had when he was at his worst and at the bottom. And then people start pouring their money into him, listening to him talk and believing in his goals. That's like when I got the army. This is before the collapse of the economy, when Bush whole ass was president. Early on, I remember there used to be these fucking seminars, these get rich things. Everybody used to rent out big ass conference hall, like that little weird motherfucking dude who done made $1 billion off of other people's money, Grant Cardone. That's probably who Jay Morrison was trying to copy his ideal from, was the Grant Cardone motherfucker. But it was people doing like how he does those conferences and shit. When I was all, and they make a lot of money through that shit, writing books. And that was the other thing where he talked about Jay Morrison, which killed me in the interview, him talking about a book. So now you're trying to make money off of what you did and to give answers. So everything comes with a price with this dude. And you should never trust people like that. But so when I was all these get rich and all this other shit. This is when the Ponzi scheme was going rampant. In America, there was nothing to regulate that shit, nothing to stop this shit. It was just everybody. These people were part of these groups that had come up with a bunch of bullshit, and everybody want to get rich. The housing market is bubbling and shit. There's a bunch of regulation cut away by Bush and shit. And so everybody's got these get rich shit because there ain't nothing to regulate this shit. You'll go, because I remember one of my chicks I was fucking with had me come to this dumbass shit with her. And I'm looking at this shit. I mean, this is one by LAX. This shit over there by LAX at the, what was it, hotel? One of them hotels, a big ass bar. It might have been a Marriott or some shit. Man, there's a bunch of people in there. Man, it was hard to even park around that motherfucker. And go in there and they do all this old cheerleading shit, trying to motivate and amp people up. I'm sitting down like, man, it's some stupid ass shit. It was just mainly a bunch of, yeah, you can do it. And yeah. Why everybody paying all this money? I think old girl paid, because I knew damn well I ain't paid for that shit. I think she may have paid for that shit. And we go into that shit, I look at her like, man, I ain't about to pay for none of that shit. It's people all down there signing up for shit. Then to be people trying to be part of teams to sign you up for shit. There's all these people up here coming up with these these pyramid tier little team building shit to get rich. You sign a bunch of people up and then you can earn this kind of money and this and that. When I used to listen to people talk, so I'd be like, so what is it we selling? And it would be never presented anything about the product you selling. It's about, oh, you give you pay you invest this amount of money into this shit, and then you sign a bunch of people up under you. You'll be the boss over there, and then we'll have this kind of uh uh they didn't like using a pyramid scheme. I forget what the like some kind of branch type of some type of branch a branch system or whatever the bullshit is, but it's really a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme and bullshit. And then so the people come and present this shit and try to talk to you about the how rich you can get, and then they'll show little booklets of testimonials from other people like I see on this dude website of how much money they got, how rich they got, and all this other shit. So what are we selling? And it'd be never a product. And then I think somebody that did go into doing that shit, and then I was somebody that poured money into sign up for one of the pyramid scheme things before, and the shit they were selling, I can't remember what the fuck they were selling. It was some stupid shit. So what is it? Just a collection of money, and these people got no fucking product to fucking sell you, or for you to get out there and sell. You just signing up person after person after person. So now they have a control over millions of fucking people with nothing to sell you. They probably ain't got a warehouse for shit. This is everybody was on get rich shit. It was a bunch of scams going on. This is even the other time when I get out. Was this before I even got TSA or some shit? I think it might have been before. It might have been after that shit. It might have been after my TSA shit. I go out. There was these ads. No, it was. I can't. It was so long ago. I can't remember whether it was before the TSA job or after that shit. I'm gonna say before, but I remember. No, it had to be after because that's why I was with old girl and I'm driving her fucking one of her cars and shit. There was these ads in the damn newspaper about you sign, you can consult with this company, they'll help get you government jobs. This shit was in the LA fucking Times. That's how much criminal crooked shit was going on. Where you go in that classified sections for job. These are ad in that little square section with all this classified shit to buy cars, look for dogs, buy this and that shit. Government jobs. They can assist you with getting a job at the airport, the post office, all this other shit. And I'm like, thinking about that shit. I'm like, but can't you just apply right at the goddamn post office? So I go down there way somewhere in the Hollywood side of fucking LA and shit. And it was a far ass drive. I go down there, go into this building. No, nothing government about this building. This building looked like some old regular rented out ass space. Go in this motherfucker. It's some African woman in the back who's supposed to be the person that grade like your testing and grade a test. When everything was just fucked. There's a bunch of people in the lobby. And the people in the lobby, I later come to find out they there trying to get a refund because they had been paying monthly to these people to look for them government jobs they never got. They'll get these people temp jobs and shit. And then when I'm taking the test they got me doing it in pencil, but the little Scantron paper looked like it'd been used and erased over. The questions are like basic ass elementary school test questions. I'm like, and I think they wanted like $45 some shit. Like I said, this is over 20 years ago it's over 20 years ago. And I'm like tripping, like after I took the test and the lady's like, are you passed and blah, blah. We'll be contacting you and all this other shit. I'm walking to my car. I go in my car and I was like, nah, fuck that. I was like, man, something ain't right about this shit. And I turned the fuck around to go in there and get my fucking money back. And so while I'm waiting in the lobby, so the Mexican lady sitting there who was like the reception girl, she like, all right, just take a seat, blah, blah. Somebody asked her something. She got the cussing this person out. Like I'm looking like, I know goddamn well this ain't no legit business. This girl in there cussing this girl out. They about to fight. Then the African lady come from behind the back and they talking this and that. She try to spew out some old bullshit words to try to calm the girl down and this and that. I got my money back. Cause I'm like, man, ain't nothing legit about this shit. And then when you go looking later in the paper, I went to go check that ad later. That ad removed from the fucking LA Times. But imagine how much money they was making off of that shit. There's all type of scams that people just rush out there to, because a lot of people desperate to get rich. A lot of people desperate to get money. And that's why I said that's what all I was seeing after I got out the military. Everybody into that housing market shit. The housing market became the new hustle, the new buy and flip shit. I was like, man, I ain't trust none of that shit. And let me see where we at now. Let me see. He says, dun, dun, dun. Oh, and the Go Young DJ says you don't know his history. Says he don't know jack shit. Laugh out loud. Now I can listen to him talk and hear when he's speaking on credit and finance and shit. See, he knows his shit. But as far as running a legit successful business, nah, because most businesses are gonna be hard to run. But especially he ain't a dude with the money and expect for it to get turned out like that. And then Mark says, yeah, you're talking about Jews. Talking about Jews for what? And then Hyphy he was about dupe or dope, says so many. Oh, sorry, he was about to dupe so many people because he lowered his minimum investment price to 750,000. Says many black people says went for it, says as $750 was double. Wait, what the hell says he was about to dupe so many people because he lowered his minimum investment price to 750. Says many black people went for it as 750 was double. And then and the Vlasi Cuss scam Cardone says and Tal Lopez says they all grifters, says can't believe people are that gullible. Absolutely. And Grant Cardone just be bragging about you ain't shit if you ain't got this kind of money, this and that. Grant Cardone ain't come with shit but other people's money. Because the one time I come across Grant Cardone because he had a video with a plane or some shit. Like I said, because I like aviation and shit. He had purchased a Golf 650 and shit. And then now he upgraded that plane because he got people pouring their money. But then he goes in and buy large commercial estates. And who knows if people are getting returns on that shit. But somehow people are satisfied. But I think Grant Cardone then fucking rubbed shoulders with very wealthy people. And he almost like on some Epstein connected ass dude now, because of the way he's been able to probably rip people off who ain't had the kind of money. And now you got more wealthier type people that want him to invest their money, and being that he's kind of a cutthroat business type dude, so they go for it. And then that was the other thing I seen Grant Cardone, because I was watching the airplane one day. He was on the guy in this shit who does property. Before his property in Malibu burned down, he had featured that house on the guy Ennis's real estate channel on YouTube. So he's showing that house, and then that motherfucker burned down. And then Mark Summers says Reggie was ready to invest in Reggie was ready to invest with this guy. Man, no, I wasn't. Man, you wouldn't dare see me invest with nobody. I don't give a fuck if Bill Gates was talking about investing some shit. I'll be hard pressed to throw my money into that shit. The Go Young DJ says I wouldn't. I'd just rather put my shit in safe shit, and you can't trust these people. You just can't trust them. And then you can't take their lives. You can't go out there and take their lives, then you'd be really fucked over. Go on DJ says he was posting stuff on IG, says about credit, says that was straight lies, says that's how you know he don't know what he's talking about. Says he only sounds smart to people that don't know what he's speaking about. And the hyphy says those newspaper scam jobs says always require you to pay for something, says to get the job. Yeah, that was always the thing that was bugged out to me. Like, after I thought about it, because I was like, because that's what I'm trying to think of that time period. I was looking for a fucking job, and I was like, yeah, this government shit gotta pop. I was like, because I'm in the military, I need a government job. But then it's like, why the fuck would I have to do all that when the government jobs have these fucking websites? So like, why am I going that route to pay these people and go down there? And that shit was just like that was the craziest shit I ever seen in my life. It was like, and that shit made no sense as I took that test and looking at the paper, looking at the room I'm in where they got you testing. It was like, and then I'm just thinking like, how is somebody able to set up a company? These would be like little fly by night operations and shit. Set up a company, rent a space, set up rooms, and then when that shit blow up, they out of there. And who knows how long they was able to run that company before an authority will look at it. Somebody can report them. Who knows? FBI probably tied up in all type of shit. Slow to want to investigate that shit. It may not be a priority. So these people probably like, we got time. We got 6 months. We'll move on to some other shit. Who knows what type of ring they connected with? But that was like one that, like I say, I got some experiences of seeing some of the most craziest, oddest shit I've ever seen in my damn life. But when I waited in that lobby and I seen that girl, because it reassured me, like, yeah, y'all give me my fucking money back. And that girl got the cussing people out in that lobby on some of the most ghetto-fied shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm looking like, how the fuck is this lady hired? Like, she cussing this girl out. You better sit your goddamn ass. Like, I said, what the fuck? Man, I almost responded after that, but I sat back and looked like, man, this can't be real. And then she was tripping on other people in there. Like, and I'm hearing them talking, because then she told somebody to shut up. Because the two people was a dude and a girl sitting next to each other. They was talking about how they've been paying for like months and still ain't got a call for nothing. They ain't got a call for nothing, but they've been paying these people however often you have to pay them to look for jobs for you. Because then I start thinking about it like, and then go figure, I end up working with the post office and shit, going to their fucking website versus going to pay these people to look for a job for you, which is crazy. I ain't never heard of no shit like that. Then, as a matter of fact, that's why I went there. I thought it was them helping you to build a resume. I thought you go down there and they'll create a resume. These motherfuckers, like, you take a test. So elementary, so I felt like I was in the first grade and shit. Glycica says, wasn't your board Tariq Nasheed says, and Jay Morrison, business partners. Tariq Nasheed says, might be next. I don't know nothing about that. I don't follow Tariq. I don't follow none of these dudes. I don't follow these grifter type dudes. And it's just unfortunate, it'd be unfortunate, like these dudes is well spoken, they have some knowledge on the shit they talk about, but then they use that they use that against people who are limited in knowledge. And I think that shit is wrong, man. That shit is so wrong to find dudes like that who take advantage of people because of their gain knowledge of some shit, or the fact that they may study shit. Like, I'm like, that shit is cold blooded. That shit is heartless. And that's the thing you live out. That's the thing about society, man. You out here with a bunch of cutthroat ass people, and especially as you speak about the damn, especially as you speak about the the business world. The business world is so fucking cutthroat. Them people can give two fucks about you. Two fucks about you. And hell, the laws don't give two damns about going after the people who done fucked you over. So you really out there on your own and stuck. Whatever you better hope whatever you can pour into something, that losing that shit, you better hope you can deal with the loss of it. You just better be happy to be without that shit, because it ain't gonna be nobody to come to help your ass when these people take that shit. And shit, you just gotta hope some people are really in it to help other people out. And a lot of times you find out they're not. And I think with Jay Morris, the thing ain't to help the people. I think it's more about him becoming rich. And if people are to benefit from it, then that's just an additional plus. But I think people have to he has to do it to where investors are profiting, because that, creates longevity with the company. This company can sustain itself. He can go longer on with this shit by being an honest business person, by doing things the right way, man. And I think he's in it for a short game, and he's willing to get out the game like a drug dealer is supposed to do it the proper way. Hyphy says the Go Young DJ says that's because he was promoting credit repair companies. Says, of course, says getting his money out of it. Yeah, like I say, I think Jay Morrison knows he got knowledge on a lot of shit. I ain't about to take that shit away from him. He definitely has his knowledge on shit. But it's just like, if a motherfucker can't go into a business by itself, like, why would you pour your money into someone else's ideal? Like, hell no. Nah. And it's like, what do they got to sell you? You pour your money for these motherfuckers to buy a property that you got no input on? Like, fuck that. And Hypey says, what do you think about the rental listings in which many people pay to apply for? Says many people pay to apply all for the same rental, says only not to get accepted. See, I think that should be something I think you should get your money back. But see, that's something that if it ain't regulated by these weak ass people we have in government, and I don't know if that's a state related. If the state has to regulate that shit, which I'm pretty sure that has to be a state and local government thing, they shouldn't be allowed to do that shit, or you should get your money back because that's a revenue stream for property groups or for property companies and shit. Or maybe those fees go to compliance companies. Who knows if they keep that money, whether they profit it or does it? Because I know when you're dealing with properties, you deal with having to go through appliance companies because I don't think you can just I don't know the full side of the rental shit, but when companies who are making you pay a fee for a rental application, I think they go through all the compliance shit, state regulated shit, and I don't know if that money goes towards them doing the background checks and all that other shit. But then again, I think it should, and then again, no, they shouldn't be able to charge that shit. They should only do that shit for because I'm trying to see how do I feel about what you're saying. Because I think that money should be returned to you if you don't get the property. That shit should go back to you. You shouldn't have to pay for that shit. Because now that can cost you if you applying for multiple properties and keep getting denied and shit. Or this company has hundreds of people applying for a property. And how do you know they're doing the actual processes of filling you out? Especially if they got waiting lists and all that shit. They just sitting on bread. And maybe they should be audited or looked into that. And I don't think that's part of audits and shit. I think the audits is just accounting for money, for revenue, and then other expenses they cut out there. You got to make sure companies ain't trying to fucking defraud the government and shit, because the government wants its piece. But that kind of shit with the paying application fee is bullshit. Because what are those applications? I think they vary. I think some of them are as high as well, like $45, $50 or some shit like that. Yeah, that shit ain't cool. Yeah, that shit ain't cool. I don't agree with it, but I don't know what's the reasoning behind why that shit even exists. But I think it's maybe the rental company offsetting what it'll cost to process an application. I don't know why the applications cost anything. You look at a damn, but then again they go into that shit because that's the other side of the rental side of shit. Because on one end you can't discriminate against people, but maybe you have it to where your property, you don't want people with criminal backgrounds. You may have kids on property. You want to ensure that people aren't fucking, depending on what kind of crimes they got, felons and all that other shit. Maybe you want to background check them, make sure they're not hiding anything. They don't have prior evictions and shit like that. That shit is understood. That shit is understood. But I think a company should also be paying that shit rather than taking money from motherfuckers. So I don't know. I look at it from many ways, but the government needs to do more. The government needs to do more in ensuring that people are not fucking being taken advantage of. Things aren't costing as much as they cost, and everything's just beneficial to fucking companies and shit. And Vlasica says you have to do it. Says you have to do it to make sure it's a serious tenant. Says I do it. Says I do it. Says but I'll give the bread back. Says if they background comes back iffy, or it comes back spiffy. I guess that's where you meant. But yeah, so that's where I think I'm going with it. Is that so you use the money? So that money, the application fee is to do the background checks and all that other shit. Paying money maybe to a compliance company where you have your own compliance and all that other shit, and you want to offset that cost. So maybe so. But then again, you want to make sure you do have serious tenants because you don't want to be going into every year you're having a lease to a new person. You want to ensure you got tenants that you can keep re-renting to, ensuring they're good tenants that ain't tearing your shit up. Because that's the other reason I wouldn't want to buy no real estate. I done been talked into buying real estate property and none of that shit. I done work for fucking real estate companies that own property, and I would fucking, and then even with my mom and them owning rental properties, man, you'll be wanting to bash a motherfucking head in for fucking tearing your shit up. Like hell fucking all. And then you look at the way some people live in your shit. You gotta deal with people who may be hoarders. You deal with people who got people in there who don't even fucking. Oh, this other thing. I wouldn't want to deal with that shit. That shit can be a fucking headache. Like, hell no. You may deal with a situation where the motherfucker's a hoarder, tearing your shit up, your shit nasty. You dealing with people who have multiple people living in your shit who ain't on the lease, ain't paying rent. You dealing with people maybe harboring fucking criminals. You get people in there using drugs out of your shit, tearing your shit up. People with kids who just bounce all over the walls. Don't have a property with multiple levels in that shit. Then they complaining about hearing people above them and shit because you done got cheap on the build of your damn apartment and didn't want to put nothing between the spacing of the floors, and they hear everything. And now you're faced with fucking complaints, neighbor disputes. Like, I would not want, nah, fuck that. And they'd be looking at the money like, yeah, I'm gonna collect this kind of rent and all that. Like, nigga, that's why I sell this motherfucker. Vlasica says your property management says take care of all that. Says as long as you give them their cut. Says exactly. Says people can ruin your whole crib. Says nasty ass, and that's the other dogs in the up. I didn't even think about that shit because you see that shit with motherfuckers and the pets. You don't have carpet in your shit. The motherfucker, a lazy ass pet owner who don't fuck, and then say they take their dogs out. They may take their dog out to only let them shit and not clean up behind the motherfucker. They may let their dogs walk all near the property and piss, and male dogs piss stink like shit. That shit is some of the funkiest shit ever. Like, hell no. I'd be like, ain't no, and then you get people that smoke. So how do you get people to follow shit? You can be this is a non-smoking property. Motherfuckers still gonna smoke in that shit. This is a no pet having ass property. They gonna still bring animals in that shit. And they be like, man, hell no. Then you dealing with people if you do that automated shit. And then you get some place that do the automated shit. And then say you get a tenant that's dead in that motherfucker, but rent getting paid. Oh no, fuck that shit. Like I say, to me, all money ain't good money. The headache, I'm a nigga about his peace. I ain't with that shit. I don't like headaches. I don't want to deal with that shit. I don't want to deal with shit that makes me mad. Like, I try to limit that shit. And I think owning property, I would be an unhappy property owner. Owning property would not make me happy. It'll just have to be my own fucking house. But rental property, nah, fuck that. Because then you can't snatch people out. Because it used to be, when I lived in Long Beach, it used to be a property next to us on the other side of the alley. These motherfuckers used to, all throughout Long Beach in that area, it used to be so many people that used to be rent jumpers and shit. And are people with long-term, not long-term, but sorry, people with eviction histories. And these damn properties over there used to get so desperate to get tenants. Man, there'll be people, I see people over there bounce all throughout that neighborhood, go move into a place, pay that fucking, that little, the security shit and the first month rent, and then maybe pay 2 rents and then say, fuck that shit. And then don't pay rent and then be in these properties for fucking months until you got to go, because you can't drag them out. These motherfuckers who have no intention of paying you, they just bounce from place to place, know that it's going to take whatever months it takes for you to go through the court shit, for the courts to grant them an eviction, then for the police to lock you out and all that shit. And that shit can take months. It used to be a lady over there, notorious. This bitch used to have like fucking 3 or 4 kids. I used to feel bad for him. That bitch used to bounce all throughout that little area right there in Long Beach where I live. She wasn't the only one. It was a bunch of people like that bounce around, get into a property, wouldn't pay rent. My landlord, she didn't do that shit. She made sure she fucking really assessed the fucking she did criminal backgrounds for a lot of people, but she made sure she screened the tenants because she wasn't about to deal with just no any ass people coming into her properties. Because then when you don't, and then they didn't really accept Section 8. But if she took a Section 8 person, because that'd be the pros and cons of the Section 8, is guaranteed rent. But then some people on Section 8 is some of the most low life people you can deal with, who ain't got no standards of keeping shit nice, any of that shit. But so you gotta assess them and shit. So that'd be hard. But then the people, you want that money because you can always ask for fucking rent increases. They're gonna take care of it. The people gonna pay their portion because it's so low, unless they get strung out on dope and shit. But I was seeing that shit all the time. Be like, I wouldn't want to deal with this shit. Even the properties my mom and them own. You go down there and like, fuck no, I wouldn't want to deal with that shit. And then you look at how people just keep people's shit. Like, hell no, now you gotta fix this shit. It costing you money. This person constantly tearing shit up. Now you gotta go into, you want to evict them, but damn, now how do your property look? Is you in a good ass area to where you just fighting over tenants or like hell no. Yeah, I'll be I wouldn't want to deal with the headache of property ownership. Like that shit look lucrative because that'd be the other thing. Everybody talks the good talk. Nobody talks about the trade offs with shit because people love the con motherfuckers because people just looking at fucking their eyes just gleam with the little dollar signs and they don't weigh out. They don't accept people. People are very bad at assessing shit. They don't know how to assess things on whether or not it's a good thing or whether now if I own a property, depending on where that motherfucker at, then yeah, I'm gonna deal with that shit. Depending on what kind of fucking what type of industry is over there. If these are tech related type people, they have incomes, they take care of their shit. You in the hood or lower income ass people, you run into more risk of just the bullshit. And then he says, so that's why you rent to whites. To whites? Mark Summers, don't let me go in on how nasty whites be. They be the ones with the dog issues, the cleanliness issues. What are you talking about? Like talking about rent the whites. Nah, I mean, you rent the people with fucking standards and shit. You know, yeah, you can play that white. Y'all niggas don't even know how to wash your ass. When the last time you washed your ass, Mark Summers? Because that's the other thing I'm hearing out the white community. Y'all don't believe in washing y'all funky ass every day. That's why you go around a bunch of the low standard white folks and they stink because they ain't washing up. The fuck you talking about? This fool always want to make shit racial too. He hear me say some truthful shit and it fucking hurts his little girly feelings. And the Vlasi Cuss says, I rented one of my cribs out to an older white couple, says, thinking they were going to be easy. And they end up being the worst ones, shaking my head. Absolutely. It'd be hard as everybody will walk into that motherfucking office or wherever you interview them and they come out of being the best of the best. Oh, these people gonna be great. Oh my God, they're so good. And give it a month. Give it a month. All that bullshit they pulled on you, that shit is gone. That bullshit fake person they was when they walked in there needing your place to stay. And then they get the fucking your shit up, complaining all the time, putting in these requests. And that'd be the other side with the Section 8 shit, because they can get the whoever regulates Section 8 housing or whatever, they get the housing authority in on your ass and this and like, come on, man. So it'd be like you really gotta assess motherfuckers you rent to. And a lot of people don't talk like this when they talk about rental shit and buying property and owning this shit. People don't talk about that shit. People give you the good shit. Oh man, you can pull in 100,000 million K. Man, get the fuck out of here. They don't talk about you dealing with a headache ass motherfucker tearing your shit up, or you done just rent it to anybody. I would discriminate. I'll be a discriminating ass motherfucker. I violate the what do they call that shit that protect people from discrimination, the fair housing law. I'll be like Trump in them. I violate that shit. And then Velocity says, so they told me it was just gonna be them. Says they told me it was just gonna be them renting. Says it was like 5 motherfuckers living there. That'd be the other thing you rented. People be bringing. Then don't let it be a single broad, man. That bitch be having all type of motherfuckers in that motherfucker living with her and shit, beating her ass, putting them out. She got a new dude. He whooping her ass, putting her out. Then they be moving a bunch of other friends and shit in. You seeing all these new ass people popping up. And then the Leo XO says, who put you up to this? Put me up to what? I don't know why your question is. Put me up to what? To covering this? What's gonna stop me from covering it? And then Velocity Cuss says facts, says always screen the tenants. Absolutely. You got it. But even the screening don't always work. You just gotta cross your finger and hope this motherfucker ain't a goddamn nutcase, a damn fool. And then Velocity Cuss says that's why so many people says live on top of each other. So that's why so many people live on top of each other in Cali and New York. Says real expensive to rent. But even in New York is so full of shit with the cost of they rents and how little they properties are, and they got the audacity to charge that much. Like that shit is wild. Like it's just nothing makes sense with pricing and shit. And then these companies will use the little price and demand bullshit. It's a demand. We only got so much space we can move. Everything got to go up. There's a limitation in availability in houses, so we got to charge much. We got to charge much more money to try to slow down this demand. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't. That's just greed. That's just greed in these corrupt motherfuckers. That's where real estate gets lucrative over in that side of town until it don't. And then it starts to die off once people start to move out. People start moving to other parts of the country to get up out of there and shit. And then Mark Summers says, because even with some New Yorkers start moving out to Jersey and all that other shit. And then Mark Summers says I would never rent. So I would never rent to a filthy punk. I would never want to rent from a piece of shit like you, motherfucker. He says probably months behind on rent. Says because I know what this is, because I know what this is supposed to cost. Nah, I make sure I pay that shit. I definitely make sure I pay that shit. And then Velocity cuts in and roll it at this stupid motherfucker Mark Summers and shit. But yeah, but no, I wouldn't want to own no rental property. Like hell no. Or I have to be young if I was to buy it. I wouldn't even want to do that shit when I was young, because then you'll really react the wrong way as a young property owner and shit. And you dealing with people moving your shit and then they just stop paying rent. And then you can't put them out. You gotta go to the court to go file all type of shit. You can't call the police. And then it'd be the other shit in the rental side of shit. If the motherfucker's dealing with trying to put somebody out, you can't just put people out. The laws are so fucking stupid. The laws are so stupid, even for people who may own a crib. Somebody got belongings at your house, you can't just put them out. Now you gotta go to the court, because I think that happened in that Airbnb shit or something like that with Airbnb. To a person that want to leave these people house, or they was renting or something, or I think it was an Airbnb, and this crazy motherfucker wouldn't leave. And the people couldn't just drag them out the fucking house. They had to go through all that court shit just to get the person out. Like, man, now what make a motherfucker not want to just dig a ditch for this motherfucker? Like, and then you got to deal with NCSI, whatever that, what is that little TV show, NCSI, or whatever the little investigative shit they had, fingerprinting and doing all this forensic shit and charging your ass because they found your fingerprint and all type of shit around this motherfucker neck. The bullet in their head got your print on it and shit. Velocity Cuss says I know what this is supposed to cost. Should be on merch, man. Man, you should make that shit. Take advantage of it. And he says squatter laws in California. This is a crazy work. Shaking my head. Yeah, that's what was going on in Long Beach. Them motherfuckers doing that. Oh, you talking about people can claim a house. You talking about where the house is empty because somebody done brought, thinking real estate was a great idea, buying up property and nowhere inside. That'd be them rich motherfuckers. Buy a home and then got a home somewhere else and don't go back to that state for fucking months and years. Or you had a lot of them foreigners that were buying shit and just having property sitting there and people living in that shit. And then now they get the claim. I think you turn the power on or some shit and you live in that shit for a certain, almost like a homestead type of law and shit. And you get the power turned on because the other people who be buying homes, the biggest problem squatters face is the people who be paying for their homes that be pissed off that they paying a mortgage and you didn't claim the house for free, then got the lights turned on and it can be there for a certain amount of months or maybe a year and you get to claim that house is wild. But that's the point, man. A lot of this shit don't make any fucking sense. A lot of this shit don't make sense. Like with the type of laws that you would pay for a house that's $500,000 or $1 million and because you balling out of control and got some other shit, but work it can barely come back to that shit, which is dumb to even buy that shit. And then some motherfucker can just sit in that bitch and claim that shit. I don't know how you pull the deeds or whatever, the paperwork to claim that house, but I guess there's a way to do it, which is wild. But shit, salute to them people who are able to do that shit. Salute to them who are able to do that. But like I say, but back to that Jay Moore shit. And this type of investment fucking opportunity, I will not rock with that shit. This should be amongst business partners, a small group with huge accounts of their own who are probably rich ass people are partners who are able to pull their resources together, buy up all this shit rather than coming at a bunch of people without the money. They coming at you as people they looking to invest in they shit. They looking to rip your motherfucking ass off. You ain't getting nothing in return. You can best believe that money is about to be gone. It was never an intention to fucking pay you out a dividend or pay you out a check. Your check gonna be just what I had showed on there, $600 in return for you fucking pouring hundreds of dollars into this fucking real estate project that this guy has going on, which is crazy. And I think he's getting in over his head. But like I said, that interview was a good interview. I enjoyed the interview. DJ and them didn't like it. I think Brandon and them didn't like it. A couple of y'all didn't like the interview. I think y'all wanted them to go a little bit tougher on the dude, which I don't think you will get anywhere with a dude with his back against the wall in an interview like that, because then he can get out there and line and all that other shit. It wouldn't be a great interview to the viewers and shit like that. But I don't think the dude just was in agreement with him. I think I seen moments at times where it's like he did seem like he was a friend of his and shit, but he was a dude also try to hold him accountable. It's like, man, that wasn't a really smart venture, and it wasn't the best of ideals. He wouldn't have done it if it was him and shit like that. Like from that point, I thought I can see where he's going with that. But to run an interview, running with a guy who's being accused of fraud and shit, sometimes you just got to set your questions up the proper way. Let them fools fucking set them own selves up and slip up and back themselves in a corner, and then where they can identify themselves as being a liar and untrustworthy. Like I wouldn't trust him. Like I said, he's constantly talking about buy this book. He has it in the book. God telling him to lead his people. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, God ain't gonna tell you no shit like that, because the people ain't your people. Like, why wouldn't God guide these people on their own? Like, you operating in the fucking American system. Like, none of this God talk these dudes talk about, and then there's a dollar attached to this shit. This is a bunch of tide earning ass motherfuckers. Like that's the only thing that bugs me. Like I say, I don't trust business sales type people, and I don't trust religious talking people who I know are not deep into the faith that they talk about. Like I say, today, the motherfucker who I showed it was the most tied into his religion and tied into his faith and discipline is that fool. What's his name? Napoleon from the Outlaws. And when I was looking at the whose show was he on? Was that Cam Capone or whatever it was? It came out today where he was speaking about forgiveness, because the guy who ended up killing his mother, this shit was cold as fuck. He spoke in that interview because he spoke about it before and I think he spoke about it in the song with on Pac album. I think his War Stories. I think whatever song it was, he talked about his mother and him being killed when he was a kid and shit. So he talked about the dudes that ran in there and killed his mother and father. And in court, the dude who was out that wanted to talk to him, that he told his family, like, man, like, as a Muslim, I can't kill another Muslim because old dude who set it up. It was a guy who set it up that had his parents killed when he was a child. He wanted to speak to Napoleon. He had converted to Islam in prison. And the family felt some type of way about this dude, and people celebrating him and him having a better understanding. It's like they weren't celebrating him. It was the people who were, happy to see him home and, showing love out of what he did while he was in prison. Because he said the dude served 45 years in there. But the guy was what he believed was supposed to be his godfather, who grew up with his father, who set this shit up to have his parents killed in the 1980s as a kid. They go in there and put a bullet in his dad's head, shoot his mother like 13 times. And in court, the guys who were the shooters said that the guy paid to have everybody killed, even have Napoleon and his younger brother killed. But they ran out of bullets chasing the mother who was trying to protect their kids and running around the house, who put up a fight. They ran out of bullets. It's the only reason why Napoleon is alive. Most people would have heard some shit like that and be ready to annihilate this dude that is behind the plan, the mastermind behind that shit. And he was like, as a Muslim, he couldn't do that. He couldn't go against that shit. He couldn't you know, as his faith. Like he's really deep into the discipline of that fucking religion. Outside of that, and I don't hear him trying to sell shit to people. I don't see him trying to do manipulative shit. Like a lot of these people use God. Well, God called me to tell you to buy this shit and give me your money for this, and you know, God has chosen me and God picked me for this. Like, man, these fools is way out with that shit. But folks, that's all I got on this one. I didn't want to be long on this one. I just wanted to touch on that topic real quick of what I saw with the Jay Morrison thing. I don't want to call him a con artist. I really don't believe that shit. I just think people were dumb in following this investment and looking to get rich and believing they can get rich from this kind of shit. Like, absolutely not. And nothing is stopping this dude from going to business. He's right back in the business. He ain't in jail or none of that shit. And the investigations didn't turn up anything. Because if it did, if he was pulling the con game, he'll be sitting his ass right in prison. I just think people were dumb for fucking pouring their money into someone else's ideal. But that's all I got, folks. I'm out of this joint. Peace, peace.